Jan was an inspiration in caring for people. She really cared about WT student athletes.
My first interaction with Jan, I remember it really well. I went out to eat with her, and you could just feel her passion for Lady Buff softball. And she knew every single player on our current team, and at that moment she knew more about our program than I did.
We've actually sat next, or 2 to 3 rows from each other for like 29 years, from 94 to 2023. You
can tell she's one of those people that just loves sports, and it doesn't matter what sport it is, but I think softball was definitely one of her favorites.
And then Jan kept saying, come out to softball, come out to softball. And so finally, Gary and I came out to softball games, and that was 2014, the year they won their first national championship.
In fact, one time in Tucson, it was February, mid-February, and weather was beautiful during the daytime. Sun goes down in Tucson in February. It gets bitter cold really fast.
So a lot of people showed up in shorts, and we had already learned our lesson. You don't go to a softball game without having some warm clothes or blankets.
But Jan was prepared. She brought out her heavy, padded, hooded parka and her pants that were lined and heavy that went with it, matching set, and her gloves. She bundled up. We kind of laughed at her. She looked like a tot in a snowsuit, waddling around.
And I gave a blanket to a couple of the families that were there, and we were sitting there, and one of the moms had the blanket, had to leave, so she left and she just handed me the blanket. She just threw it in my lap, so I wadded it up and I was sitting there holding it, and finally about 10 minutes later, Jan looked at me and she goes, Sue, I'll hold that blanket for you.
So Jan gave a lot to the student athletes. She would love it. Her face would light up and her smile would beam when they would come to her after a game was over or a match was over and give her hugs. She was genuinely interested in their family, what their aspirations were, what their problems were, anything about them that she could learn she was interested in.
A lot of really good memories. All of our players, she was Mama Jan to them, and they knew that if they needed anything that she would be there for them, and that's a lot.
So Jan's legacy is one of loving people, enthusiasm for sports, and a passion to see WT student athletes succeed.
Jan just had a strong heart for these people. I think she had like a magnetic personality, because these people are just drawn to her, not just the women that play softball and basketball, but a lot of the men players are there too for her. And she just loved WT and all the people here, and she's extremely missed. And I called her my softball buddy. We would get a lot of cheers going for the softball team, and I really miss that. And no one can do the 3 balls better than Jan. Some have tried, but we're getting there.